Hey, I hope you smelly hipsters are doing fantastic today. It's finally spring outside, nice and sunny outside. But I'm inside doing a camera review, excuse me, a lens review for you guys. So here's my lens. The special lens is a 35mm Super Takumar Pentax lens, f3.5, and this is for the M42 mounting system. So there's threads on the bottom right here, and that's the type of mount that this lens was designed for, the M42 mounting system. So, what is special about this lens? One is very cheap. You could get it on eBay in excellent condition for about $60 to $70, and mine in particular came with this case, which is pretty nice, and came with both lens caps. The filter on here, I put a 49mm Tiffin filter, pretty cheap, nothing special. But I don't use this lens for my film camera. I use it on my digital camera. So I have a Canon 6D, and previously, before that, I had a Canon T5i that I started out with. And I use this lens to mount it on my Canon 6D. So how do you do that? The Canon mounting system is different than the M42. So what you need to do is buy an adapter. So this is a M42 adapter, just a metal ring with some threads on it, and you screw the lens on, then you attach it to your Canon mounting system. And overall, the camera works pretty well with this lens. So why did I get this lens? I got this lens because, one, once again, I'm a smelly hipster that can't afford things, so I decided to go the cheap route. So I decided to get a full frame camera and get some vintage lens for it because I didn't want to pay the price for a modern autofocusing lens. So I did some research and decided on this one because 35mm I felt like was a good lens for just general use and also for street photography. So that is the reason why I chose this lens. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the lens. Pretty easy to use even with the mounting adapter. So the general characteristics of this lens are you have the focusing tab right here, then you have the aperture ring right here, which clicks really well. And this one in particular goes from 3.5 to 16. And there's also a little tab here for auto and manual, but you'll be using this lens as a manual lens because it is an older lens and came way before the Canon 6D was out. So the one downside to this lens is when you attach this to your Canon 6D body, because it's so short, it's kind of hard to change the aperture with your fingers because it's so close to the body of the 6D camera. So you just got to take a minute and just feel the aperture ring and change the aperture if necessary. Also, sometimes you accidentally tend to unscrew the lens from the adapter while you're changing the aperture ring because of how close the ring is to the camera body. And I will show you on my 6D, but I am actually filming with the 6D, so I can't necessarily attach it and show you guys. But yeah, overall I think this was a good investment because it was cheap enough, but the quality you get is still pretty good compared to the modern choices that you have. The only thing is I noticed that when I take pictures with this camera, the grays and the colors turn out a little flat, and I think that's the nature of the lens. Yeah, everything looks kind of a little bit flat, but not too bad. And I have examples. I'll show you some pictures next of the pictures I've taken with this camera and the lens, and show you what I mean. But yeah, this is an alternative if you're looking for a more affordable choice in choosing a lens. So this is what I recommend people do if they're on a budget for shooting full frame. So if you decide to go full frame, what I recommend is get a Canon 5D Mark II. They're cheap now, where you could find well used but still functional body for between let's say 600 to 800, and that also based on condition as well. But after you get that full frame body, just get some of these vintage lenses because they're cheap and they still work fine. The only downside is obviously you don't have autofocus, but I mean, if you're starting off photography as a new person, then autofocus might not be the best way to go because you want to master manual focus to get the basics of photography down. And because you have the aperture ring right here, it helps you learn more about aperture and how that affects your image quality. So, not a bad way to go. This is what I recommend because it's the most cost-effective means to getting into full frame. But that's really about it. If you like this video, give me a like. Thanks.